Good morning, everybody. My name's Tommy Johnson. I'm with the Portland Regional Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to IT Basics for Business. This is our newest breakfast seminar series of the year, and it provides a forum to gain useful do-it-yourself IT solutions and insightful, actionable tips. And I want to thank Uprise Partners for allowing us to bring you this virtual event series for the entire season. I'd like to welcome you all to the second installment of IT Basics for the calendar year 2023-24. This four-part, bi-monthly, season-long series runs from November through May. Now, today's topic, Gone Phishing, what it is and how to avoid it, is presented by Kyle Peterson, Director of Managed Services at Uprise Partners. Uprise Partners is the presenting sponsor of IT Basics for Business for this entire season. And at this point, I'm proud to introduce Melinda Gagnon to say a few words.
Good morning, Tommy. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. I just wanted to give a quick overview of Uprise Partners. So we basically started this company to help businesses operate more efficiently and be more successful by using technology. So we specialize in IT, cybersecurity, and software engineering, and we focus solely on serving small and medium-sized businesses. So we're headquartered right here in Maine. We have most of our team members in Maine, but also across the U.S. We also serve customers across the U.S. And have, of course, the fortune to serve a lot of our customers right here as our neighbors in Maine. Want to share that we've also developed a really great team here that we've, for the past 3 years running, been named one of the top 100 security firms in North America and among the top 500 managed services providers in North America. So if anyone has questions on how to help your business be more productive, be more secure, questions about IT, please feel free to reach out. We'd love to talk with you.
Thank you, Melinda. Great to see you as always. Now, like all the Chamber's virtual signature events, today's presentation is free and it'll be recorded and made available for free replay on the Chamber's website and YouTube page. And to keep up to date on all the Chamber's news and events, please visit our website, portlandregion.com, check out our events page, and sign up for our weekly events email newsletter while you're there. Now, before we get to today's presentation, I want to share with you that we're using a newer platform to some of you called StreamYard for this and all Chamber virtual events. This platform provides many improved production and interaction elements that I think you'll be happy to see. I'm also pleased to introduce a new member of the Chamber team, Rachel Carruthers. Rachel joins our team at the Chamber as our new events manager and brings with her a lot of event experience, and I invite her to say a few words today.
Thank you, Tommy. Yes, hi, my name is Rachel Carruthers. I'm the new events manager here at the Portland Regional Chamber of Commerce. I've been here for a couple months now, and I'm enjoying the team that I've joined. And I'm very excited to hear from Kyle during today's presentation.
Excellent. Thank you, Rachel. She's been an asset to the team already, just in her few short weeks that she's been here. And lastly, I'd like to remind you that if you have questions for our presenter, please type them in the YouTube chat, and they'll be relayed during and also at the conclusion of the presentation, where we'll save some time for some more, hopefully, robust question and answer period. Now, at this point, I'd like to introduce our presenter. Kyle Peterson is the Director of Managed Services at Uprise Partners. He oversees the managed services practice, including the service desk, for hundreds of customers. He's worked in IT and technology consulting for nearly 10 years, and he has experience with many tools and platforms and helps customers secure their environments. He specializes in email security, security compliance, and disaster recovery. And with that, I'll turn things over to Kyle to kick things off.
Awesome. Thank you, Tommy. I appreciate it. And good morning, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. I'm used to watching it from the other side, so it's nice to be presenting today. So as mentioned, we've been doing a few different topics on this series. So as you can see, we have cloud, email and productivity tools, AI, and phishing and security. So last time we covered the cloud. Today, we're going to be going fishing. So you can grab your boots, go down to the river if you want, but we're going to be talking about a slightly different type of phishing today, right? Starts with a PH. So for a lot of people, phishing is a new term, right? It's in the industry, it's been known for a while, but it's not glaringly obvious what it is. Essentially, phishing is a technique for bad actors, malicious actors to try to gain access to sensitive information. This could be through a website that looks real, looks very real, that asks you, "Hey, enter your password," right? And you think, "Well, of course, this is Bank of America. Why wouldn't I?" And turns out it's not, right? It could be someone sending you an email that says, "Hey, your bank account's been hacked. We need you to get into it, or enter your Microsoft password." So we're going to cover a lot of different topics here, ranging from some examples of phishing emails, ones that we've received. You'll probably look at it and go, "Oh, I've gotten that before." And we're also going to talk about some statistics, some notable phishing scams, hacks that you've probably seen in the news. So in general, I do want to start with some of the more kind of baseline stats around phishing, right? Things that kind of blow your mind when you look at the scale of them and how often phishing is kind of the start of a big thread of things that lead up to a hack. So one of the big ones is 90% of successful cyber attacks start with email phishing. So you may have in your mind this picture of this person punching away on a keyboard, and they've got the green code behind them and they're hacking into a system. Um, while sure, maybe in some cases, right, that happens. In reality, uh, it really starts with a phishing email. It starts with a fake email that gets your credentials. It pretends to be someone that they're not, and then they're able to use that to access more critical tools and kind of work their way down the ladder. Whether that's using your email account to talk to a coworker and get access, or maybe they just directly get into what they need. There was a recent study put out by FBI's Internet Crime Compliance Center, or IC3, that found that phishing, which is not just emails, there are things like vishing, uh, I think it's called smishing, right? Which is voice calls, right? Calling, or SMS, which is text. Those are the most prevalent threat in the US. So last year, there were over 323,000 victims of those different types of phishing threats. That is up 34% compared to last year, which is really astounding when you look at it. So that was followed by non-payment, non-delivery, which had over 82,000 victims, personal data breaches, 51,000, and then identity theft, which was a little over 51,000. And even extortion had just under 40,000 victims. So it really isn't something that's I don't have to worry about it. It's not that prevalent. It's right there in front of us. It's happening every day to hundreds, thousands of people. Um, and then when you actually break down, right, how many emails might be phishing, how many are legitimate, 1.2% of all emails sent are malicious. So that means for every 4,200 emails sent, one would most definitely be a phishing scam, right? So if you think of these larger organizations, or even your organization, right? Think about how many emails you're receiving every day, you're sending. As inboxes get more and more crowded because a lot of people are remote, we're having to communicate over those different methods. It just increases the chances that a malicious email is going to get through. And it also teaches, malicious actors what a normal cadence is for emails, right? What does a normal email look like from maybe this company? They have a lot of things to work off of to then shape their communication to look like them. And then 95% of cybersecurity incidents occur due to human error. So, there is this misconception that, well, okay, I'll just buy all the most expensive software in the world, and we'll just lock down everything, and we'll just be the most secure company ever with all the technology, right? But that doesn't really save you when an email does happen to slip through, or somebody gives you a phone call, or they get a text, and now they're entering their password in, or they're running to the store to buy $2,000 in Visa gift cards, right? You could have all the best technology in the world, but it really is human error um, that causes a lot of those issues. So I want to give a couple examples. These are ones that you've definitely heard in the news, right? And if you haven't, I just want to talk a little bit about them. So Colonial Pipeline, which was in 2021, one of the most recent ones, suffered approximately $3.9 billion in loss. And that's a little tough to calculate, and we can kind of talk about why. But in early 2021, the Colonial Pipeline was forced to basically halt all operations because their network and billing systems were completely compromised. Ransomware did play a huge factor in this, but what had happened was the attackers were only able to do this because they gained access to an employee's password. Right. So again, we just talked about the number one issue is that human error. So what they're thinking, because again, it's very hard to nail this down from the beginning of time when it happened. But what they're thinking is, an employee entered their password in a false either web page or email. They got access to what they needed to. They deployed ransomware, and then you see what happened after that. So again, a little tough to really determine how costly the breach was. Colonial Pipeline themselves paid the attackers $4.4 million for the decryption key to get their information back. But that was really just the tip of the iceberg when we talk about the effect that that had. Colonial Pipeline provides just about half, a little under half of the oil supplies to the east coast of the US. So as you can imagine, when that was shut down for just 1 week, uh, it resulted in non-delivery of just about 20 billion gallons of oil, which was about $3.4 billion at that time. So with this, that really didn't get passed on to Colonial Pipeline. That got passed on to the public, right? So oil prices soared, gas prices went up, and really the people that were affected was everyone trying to get gas, right? So when these happen, especially with these large companies, Colonial Pipeline is huge. Um, it affects everyone. It doesn't just affect them, their employees, their reputation. It really had a ripple effect across many people. Another one to talk about, Facebook and Google, right? That was almost 100 million in losses. And this one, it really is crazy when you look at how simple it is. Essentially, they fell victim to an invoice scam. And what an invoice scam is just a malicious actor sending emails, pretending they're someone. Here's your invoice for X amount of dollars. Please pay it. Pay it to this bank account, and along you go. So a Lithuanian man noticed that Google and Facebook both used a Taiwanese supplier, Quanta Computer. And so what he did is he just replicated that supplier's emails, invoices, things of that nature for over 2 years, right? So for over 2 years, sending these fake emails, pretending to be them, and Facebook and Google are just paying it, right? So eventually it was discovered. Facebook and Google obviously took legal action, and they recovered about half of the stolen money. So not even all of it, right? And that's Facebook and Google we're talking about, two pretty big tech companies that fell for something very simple, just a fake invoice email. And then the last one I want to talk about here is just Sony Pictures. So that was back in 2014. I think some of you will remember this if you're a big movie fan. But there was a hacking group called Guardians of the Peace. They leaked about 100 terabytes of data, which is absolutely massive. Um, so basically, what they did is they couldn't exactly nail down the source of it, but they do know that the CEO and a lot of Sony executives received phishing emails that looked like they were coming from Apple, right? So they're pretending to be Apple, asking for ID, banking information, right? All these things that if maybe coming from Apple, if you're Sony, doesn't seem that weird that they would be asking for this. And what they did was they all got redirected to a fake site, a fake website. And what it did was it asked for their login credentials. So with those, they got the login credentials and they moved right through where they wanted to get that data. So what they had found out was that this was a state-sponsored North Korean group that was demanding Sony withdraw its film The Interview, which was a comedy, looking to assassinate the North Korean leader Kim Jong Un, and so obviously that spiraled out to actual threats on movie theaters, cinema chains, things of that nature. So these people obviously took all that information they had, found out a lot of information about Sony that really wasn't even released to the public, and it even spread all the way to actual acts of physical terrorism, right? Not just cybercrime. So it is really important that you are vigilant. These big companies that have tons of technology are kind of being brought to their knees and have to pay these huge ransom fees just because someone entered their password where they shouldn't. Just a very simple act. And that, kind of to reiterate, education is the best prevention combined with smartly set up technology, right? So it is important to have important spam filters that are set up correctly, right? You don't want spam constantly going into everyone's inbox. But what's really most important is that education piece, knowing what to look out for, knowing when to look at an email, take a breath, step back, pause, and say, okay, would the CEO be asking me to send them banking information right now? I'm just going to jump on a quick call with them just to make sure, right? We need to make sure that we're educating each other on when to take those moments, take a breath, and look at things skeptically or critically. So, want to talk about some tips to avoid a phishing attack, and we'll kind of lay them out in the following slides. But just to kind of give a good example, right, of what these could look like is, let's just say it's a Monday morning, right? It was a long weekend, and you come back and you've got all these unread messages, right? When you if you look at your phone right now, right, are you the person who you have a bunch of notifications that you just don't have the time to clear, or do you need to clear every single notification? You got to click on everything, right? But you're looking through your phone, you've got tons of emails from maybe the weekend or the week before, and then you get an email from maybe your credit card company or IT company, or maybe it's Royal Caribbean, right? And they say, "Hey, you just won something awesome. You just won your dream vacation. That would be awesome, right?" But all they need from you is just a little bit more information, right? And yeah, you want to do this right now. You just want an awesome vacation, right? So you're trying to clear your notifications, but you're just going to stop and do this really quick. You're not really looking at the email and thinking, why did I just win a cruise from Royal Caribbean, right? Why am I getting this email? Um, so maybe you go through and you enter that information, right? But in reality, you haven't won anything, right? You've just fallen victim to a scam. And while I don't think you'll get there through a cruise ship, you have just won an all expenses paid trip to the IT department, right? A conversation with them or a conversation with leadership that you probably don't want to be having because you've just entered your your information somewhere that you shouldn't have, right? So in an ideal world, no one would ever be tricked by phishing. We'd all catch those. But in reality, people are going to get tricked, right? Even I have looked at an email and said, "Oh, that's legitimate, right?" I'm very skeptical of emails, and I get to click on something, and I'm looking, and I'm going, "Actually, this maybe doesn't look right." So it is easy to look at those things and not notice that it is a phishing email. It's not real. So if you ever do click on anything, if you ever enter your information and maybe you didn't mean to, don't hesitate to speak up, right? It's not embarrassing. You shouldn't be embarrassed by it. Um, Definitely talk to your IT team, change your passwords. Um, but it's just important that you really scrutinize every email that's coming through, because cyber criminals are not slowing down. They are, if anything, they are ramping up, and they're becoming more complex, more creative with how they're trying to find information. So before I move on to this next section, Tommy, do we have any questions that are relevant to what we've just talked through? Okay, and we could just move along. Um, so talking about suspicious content, right? Um, we just talked about being skeptical of emails and really wanting to scrutinize them. So what are you looking for, right? What are we looking for in an email that we might say, this doesn't actually seem right. I don't know why I'd be getting this, right? Um, is it a known sender? Is it a subject you expect, right? Have you gotten something from this before? A really common one is the CEO is asking for something right now. They need something and they're coming to you because they trust you and they need your help. And while in some smaller companies, yes, that may be true, um, think about it. Have you gotten an email like that before? Why would they be reaching out like that? So, something that we'll look at is some of the more frequently used subjects, kind of what to watch out for. So, spear phishing is absolutely a big one. So, while some, not all, phishing scams are mass outreach, so what you'll see is maybe 15, 20 people at a company, or your whole company will get um, a phishing email that's exactly the same, and the goal is just hit as many people as possible. Something will stick, right? Spear phishing is very targeted. It's very targeted on one specific person. They're really looking at you to kind of gain access through you and then get what they need. Fake invoicing, right? We just talked about that. Unsolicited services or products, right? So maybe you won something, or maybe they're selling something, or maybe you can get a discount if you just enter a little bit of information. And then fake SEO experts. That is really focused on website building. So hey, we can get you more traffic. You just have to get us into your website, or just have to give us some information that, again, you may think, oh, I'm fine sharing this, and look, we get a free service out of it or a free demo out of it. Really shouldn't be sharing any information with companies that you're not familiar with. Fake phone calls, fake company identity, right? So pretending to be your bank calling you, or pretending to be someone collecting money, right? Those kind of, you'll see those closely tied in together. Or company identity might be Bank of America. It's not actually them, right? They're not going to ask for your password to enter it on a web page like that. Fake charity solicitation. That one, of course, we all want to do good. We want to support charities, but a lot of bad actors don't care. They don't care about the morals of it. They don't care about what it looks like if you're, hey, donate to this charity, right? And you're entering your bank information. In reality, it's going to someone who knows where, and it's not getting there, right? Um, Office supply scams, vanity award scams. You can kind of see the trend here of it's a lot of, I'm going to pretend to be this person. I'm going to pretend that this person has won something, or they're getting something out of this, and in reality, all you're giving them is your information. So number two, look for typos. Right, phishing emails almost always contain a typo. Right, not always. It's not a foolproof thing where if it's got a typo, it is phishing, or if it doesn't, it's not phishing. But you'd be surprised how often phishing emails, they go through all these lengths to pretend they're something, they pretend that they're this person, and then they have a typo. So a couple of examples that we've actually seen: bankofamerica.com, and then you have bank0ofamerica.com. If you're just going through your inbox really quickly, again, trying to clear those alerts out to move on with your day, you might not notice that zero there, right? We have uprisepartners.com, and then we have uprisepartners.com, but the I, it's a lowercase l, right? Even putting this in here, when I look back, to prepare for this and look through my notes here, I almost forgot that I put that there, because it is so obvious. It is not obvious. It's so hidden in there that as you're just scrolling through, your brain just fills in the blanks, right? So another thing to look for is the sent from email address, right? So what it can look like in emails, and we actually have a couple good examples later on in this. Uh, there can be the sent from email address can look a little different than who it's actually from. right? So the example we have here, support at Microsoft.com. Is it support at Microsoft.com? Again, that F and that T, there is only a small difference that if you're scanning through things, you may not notice it. In addition, they can actually, they can spoof their email address, right? It says that it's from someone else. So while it may say this is Microsoft support, right? You'll see that little header that says Microsoft support. But if you really look down at the email, it'll say something different. It'll say this maybe support at Microsoft.com, right? So when you're looking at these emails, right? Are you expecting this email from Microsoft in this example? Is this something Microsoft has sent you before, or is it the first time that you're seeing it, right? Sometimes it is not obvious. Sometimes it's very obvious. You'll look at it and it'll be, you know, some random numbers and letters at gmail.com, and they're saying, hey, you have to pay us $100 right now. They're not all going to be like that, right? Those are the quick ones that they hope they can get away with. A lot of them will be very tricky in how they lay out their emails. So definitely check the sent from email address when you get anything. Always confirm internal emails as well. Phishing emails do not just apply to external emails. It will not be someone pretending to be Microsoft, Bank of America, whoever it may be. They could pretend to be someone inside of your company, right? So if an email says to be your IT team, maybe someone in leadership or administration, or finance, right? A lot of people will pretend to be an accounting person or finance person. Be skeptical of those emails, right? Do not hesitate to pick up the phone, jump on a call with someone, right? We talk about this at Uprise all the time. No one will ever be frustrated with somebody else if they just give them a quick call and just say, "Hey, did you send me this? It just doesn't look normal that you would send this. I just want to confirm this to be safe." No one should ever be frustrated by that. That's the right thing to do, right? Even if it makes you pause, it takes an extra 5 minutes or so to do it. I can tell you that's going to be a lot quicker than if you just save those 5 minutes, enter your information, change your bank information, and now your company gets hacked. That's going to take not just a lot more time, it's going to be a lot more expensive to resolve that. And really, all it takes is a quick phone call most of the time. And similar to what I just said, verify requests. Any request, especially financial information, right? If someone is requesting financial information or your password, never give out your password. That should never be done, right? But call people, speak with them in person, verify that it's them, right? Um, you know, if you get an email that says, "Oh yeah, call me on my cell," and it doesn't look like their cell phone, call the last known good number for them, right? Go if you're in the office with them, go walk over to their office, go check with them. You really should verify any sort of request, especially if it's coming through email. And like we said, being skeptical of all these emails, you really want to verify any requests like that. And number six, don't click on any links. Right? This is a big one. Links can be scary for some people, right? And for some people, they don't even care. They're just clicking everything they see, and oh, I won that Royal Caribbean cruise, and I just click it, and I'm going to go enter my bank information and get that free cruise. Um, as a general rule, if an email has links, don't click it. Right? If it says it's from American Express, for example, gives you a link and says, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get you to this page to do this thing, right? To reset your password. Let's use that as an example. Reset your password here. What you should do is go to American Express, right? Ideally, the email has instructions on what to do. Go right to AmericanExpress.com or whatever website and go find it, right? Follow the steps yourself. It might say go up to the top right, click profile, click security settings, reset password, right? Again, it is worth the little bit of extra time it takes to make sure you're doing it the right way, versus you click a link, go to a website that looks exactly like it, right? These malicious actors are getting very crafty. It might look just like it, and you might think, "Oh, I'm there. This is great. I just clicked the link. Here's my password," and you move along with your day. It might not even be something that they use for months, weeks, years even, right? But they just have that information. So always be skeptical of links. Don't click on links. Go to the site itself, follow the instructions. And that is one of the key successes to avoiding being hacked, falling victim to one of these scams. And I've said this a few times, right? Just as a general rule, be skeptical, right? Question unexpected emails, especially the ones that are requesting sensitive info or urgent action. So early on, I gave a couple of these examples, but you really need to be thinking, right? Was I expecting this email from this person, right? Uh, is this something they normally ask me to do, and why are they asking me to do this? So I gave the example of, your boss sends you a text message, right? Let's email out of it. This is like a text message that you get. Oh, okay, this is from my boss. He must have gotten a new phone. Oh goodness, he's stuck. His his card doesn't work for the bank, and we've actually, or the bank is having problems, and we need to pay a vendor, or we're going to lose access to something. But we need to do it in $500 Visa cards, and we need 10 of them, right? Or something like that. That's not a normal request, right? I think we've all heard that, right? Admittedly, a lot of grandparents or older folks who are really not as familiar with phishing or scams of that nature, they fall victim to that, right? But everyone is susceptible to it. If you're trying to move fast and say, oh, the boss needs my help, right? Or so and so needs my help, I can help them out here, and I wanna help, and I'll just jump in and do that. Yeah, it's no problem, right? So a lot of these bad actors will use urgency to really push you to do something without thinking about it. So again, take the breath, think about what you're doing, and be skeptical of emails. And something that's important to note too, it doesn't mean be scared of emails. It doesn't mean every email should be a 5 minute, 10 minute affair where you're looking up everything, verifying all the names. But you really need to slow yourself down and not just jump through emails rapidly. Really want to pay attention to it. And lastly here, right? Notify your IT team. I mentioned before, it shouldn't be embarrassing. It's not an issue if you do click on a link, right? I mean, it's an issue, but don't be embarrassed by it. Don't try to hide it. The most important thing is to kind of raise your hand and say, "Hey, whoop! I clicked on something. Not sure what happened here. Need your help." Right? That's what the IT team is there for. They're there to help you. They're here to look into things. You're not on your own there. So if you receive something that you think is a little fishy, right? It's a little fishy. Uh, don't click on it. Don't take the risk. If you're really unsure and maybe you've looked at it a little and you just can't decide, take a screenshot of it, right? Send that to your IT team. Send that to them and say, hey, look, I got this email. I'm not totally sure because, so and so has asked me this in the past, but they don't really talk like this. And I'm not sure why they're asking for it right now. Take a screenshot, don't forward it, right? If you forward it, you're just going to be possibly forwarding spam or a malicious email. But try to capture the important information, right? What is the subject of it? Who is the sender? What are they asking for? If your IT team can look at it, they may validate it with the person themselves. Uh, if they look at it and say, we're not sure either, actually, we're going to need to dive into this a little more, they'll tell you what you can do, right? They'll either maybe come over to your desk, remote into your computer. Uh, they may even just ask you to send it as an attachment, right? They'll talk you through how to do that, and they'll guide you along the steps of how do we make sure that this email is secure, right? How do we make sure that this is a legitimate email? So again, notify your IT team if this ever happens with a screenshot. Do not take the risk, right? It is great to do a little bit of cyber sleuthing on your own, right? To dive in yourself and take a look at things. But if you really want to be sure, forward that or not forward that right along, but forward along a picture of it, and your team can look at it. All right. And Tom, I did see you pop in there. Do we have any questions just before I move on to the last couple slides?
Yeah, and great presentation so far, Kyle. We had one early on. It was going back to when you were talking about the history of phishing, and it was surprising to me to see that even as far back as 10 years ago, the example you gave with the oil company and the devastating financial effects. But the question was, I feel like this really wasn't an issue in the past. Am I just not aware of it, or is this something new to most people? Maybe expound on that a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. So this definitely has been an issue for a long, long time, right? Phishing has been around uh, basically a long time with phones and anything like that. It started with phone calls, right? Um, Calling up, pretending maybe there's a Nigerian prince or something, right? That's one that's a pretty big one that everyone talks about, but it definitely isn't new. But what I would say is in the last 10 years or so, maybe a little longer, as people have started to work more remotely, as email has ramped up, the technology to hack into things, the technology to pretend to be someone has gotten more advanced. We're seeing a huge ramp up in specifically phishing emails, right? So what we're actually seeing is it's also in different areas that the phishing is happening. It's not just I send you an email, I'm trying to get into your bank account. Boom, that's a pretty cookie cutter one. What we're seeing is on Facebook, right? Hey everyone, can you please put your favorite color in here? I just want to see what everyone's favorite color is, or what was the name of your first pet? Mine was this, right? Or put in a GIF of your birth age, right? What pops up when you do that? And what we're seeing is all of those different little things that seem harmless are actually culminating into them getting all this information, and then boom, you get hit with a really, really tailored text message, a phone call, or an email um, that is a phishing attack, and it tricks a lot of people. So yeah, great question, because it is definitely ramped up recently. It's become more widespread, but phishing and cyber crime like this has been around for many, many years. Awesome. So I mentioned before talking through some examples, right? I kind of call it the anatomy of a phishing email, right? What are some things you can look for? So we have an example here, right? That was sent to our CEO, Melinda. Um, and you can see right at the top, right? It says Uprise Partners Mail Recovery Portal, which is it's bogus, right? That's not a real email. So we have something that looks like an internal email, except look at that send from address, right? It's from UEDA at glenfield.jp. So likely something coming from Japan. But if you're not looking for that little bit of text right there, you might just think, oh, this is from Uprise Partners. This is something for my mail. I have to look at this, right? And as you work your way down, you can actually see our Uprise email protection technology giving a warning, right? Saying there's two pieces to this. It says, hey, look, you don't often get email from that fake email address. So that's kind of red flag number one. And also, this email is originating from outside of your organization, right? So if this is looking like it's internal, why would I be getting that external alert, right? That's another red flag. So, this is something that we do is we put these in place to kind of slow you down, right? Slow you down to make you question, hey, why is this internal coming from external, and why is it saying I don't talk to this person very often? That way, you can look back and really dive into the email. And then when you get to the body of it, right, it looks just like a Microsoft email. This is a pretty typical quarantine email, is what it's called. So it tells you, hey, Microsoft blocked this message because we thought it might be spam or we thought it might be quarantine, and we just want you to review it before we push it out to your mailbox. There are some pretty obvious things in this one where you could see the formatting is actually going off of the page. And also, look at what it's saying it prevented for a message. It's a DocuSign for a contract, right? Confirmation required. So what they're trying to do here is they're trying to make it look like it's an email internally for something very important, right? Melinda, hey, this is a DocuSign contract. Like, we need to get moving on this. Like, this link is gonna, possibly expire. We really need you to get this because it's been stuck in quarantine. But in reality, this is not an internal email. We don't know who this person even is, and that is a totally fake, quarantine message that you're seeing there. Many links to click on. They give you plenty of opportunities to click on things, to go to your quarantine page, to do what you need to do. But in reality, that's probably bringing you to a page that's going to ask you for your password, and it's going to try to get information from you. And here's another example, right? And this is a great example of urgency as well. So this email, it's an IT essential notice, right? Whatever that means, whatever they're trying to convey there. And it's even got the important tag. It's got that exclamation mark. Hey, you got to look at this. We need you here. It's high priority. But look at the sender in this example as well. Says that it's help desk support system, right? So you see help desk, and you kind of, your brain may fill in the rest and say, okay, this is a help desk email. It's high priority. I need to look at this, right? So, but when you actually look at the send from email, it's no reply at accountancy-matters.co.uk. Not something that we send email from, right? And if you're unsure if that's somewhere that you send email from, take a screenshot, just like the one here, send it to your IT team. Hey, do we do anything from this email? Why would I be getting this, right? And then again, if you look at the section that's formatted just like Microsoft, it's telling you, hey, look, this link expires in 24 hours. Your email password is going to expire today. Click this button to stay with the current password, right? And that link very likely leads to another page where it's trying to get you to enter your password again. So they're trying to create that urgency because, just like anyone, I wouldn't want my password to change and be locked out of my Microsoft account. I have lots of emails or people that I need to talk to that I really can't afford to get locked out of my account and have to talk to Microsoft, or maybe work with IT to talk to Microsoft to get back in. So they really rely on that sense of urgency, people just scanning through their inboxes, kind of checking the boxes. They rely on those things to trick people and to make them fall into these traps. So in addition to being aware, right, education is absolutely huge. Your IT team or your IT provider can conduct phishing simulations, right, to test you, to see if you're on top of kind of your phishing knowledge, right? And so, what a phishing simulation is it's a fake phishing email, right? So it is a email that is intended to look like a phishing test. It may direct you to ones like we saw before, right? So it may say, "Hey, change your password here. Go to this web page." Goes out to all your users. And then a couple things can happen, right? Uh, they may click on it and you get an alert that they clicked it, or they may even go all the way through, enter their password, right? And you can get alerted to that as well. Or best case scenario, right? They report it. They see the email, they report it. They may even send you the screenshot like we talked about. They may block it themselves. But either way, what you can do is from those phishing simulations, lead people down a training path, right? So someone who went all the way through and entered their password may need slightly different training than someone who just said, "Oh no, I know this is phishing. I'm going to block it." It's important that everyone gets training from the phishing simulations, but that is a really good way to benchmark where people are, right? Is to say, what did they do when they got this phishing email? Did they click it? Did they go all the way through, or did maybe they blocked it, right? So um, definitely work with your IT team to run some phishing simulations, send out some fake emails, and just see where your team's at, and that they're actually looking at these emails before they just start clicking on things. And again, just to leave you with a final note here, kind of the theme of everything is always look through a skeptical lens, right? Do not be scared of emails. Do not be scared of phone calls that come through, but just be skeptical, right? It's okay to question if something is legitimate. It's preferred if you question it, right? We don't want to just trust that it is what it says it is. Um, we really want to be skeptical of everything that we're seeing, especially when we're talking passwords, finance, bank information, um, anything of that nature that could compromise the company. Really, really scrutinize those emails to make sure that not just yourself that you're staying secure, but that the company and anyone that you work with is staying secure as well. And thank you all very much. And I think we have a little Q&A here as well.
Yeah, Kyle, again, thank you for a very thorough and very real conversation. I know in our small organization, we've actually been duped by this before, by a phishing scam, and we have the luxury of having a pretty good internal IT person who actually keeps us on our toes. So we do get some of these test emails sent to us just to see if we are or are not clicking on them. But just on that note, the next question that came up was, my company is small, has only 10 employees. Is this still an issue? And maybe, how should I approach this?
Yeah, great question. So plain and simple, this is a threat or something that people should look out for. If you're one person, you run your own business, it's just you, or if you have thousands of employees, right? So again, one of the biggest mistakes you can think is, well, it's just me and I just run a mom and pop shop. No one would ever go after us. I don't have billions and billions of dollars. People who are running these don't really care about your size or how much money you're making, right? They're typically just blasting out an email and trying to see what sticks. Who can they get to, right? So that's why you see sometimes your grandparents, right? I have grandparents that have called me and said, "Oh, hey, I talked to this person and now my computer's locked. Like, what do I do?" Well, don't do anything, right? Disconnect from the internet, like turn off your computer and I'll be right over, right? So if they're going after grandparents, single people, right? It doesn't matter if your organization is one person or 1,000. You have to be just as skeptical of every email that comes through. So yeah, that's a great question.
And I'll see if anybody who's watching has any questions. We'll give you a minute or two just to type any questions you might have into the chat, and please do it soon. So we'll get those sent right over to Kyle. But in the meantime, just a great presentation, Kyle. Really appreciate it. And again, we'll just look for any questions that might come trickling in right now. Don't see any. That's okay. What I will mention is if you have any questions for Kyle, you can send them along to the chamber, or actually on the post-event email that we'll send out to all of our registered attendees. There'll be contact information for Kyle. So if you maybe had a question for him today, didn't get a chance to ask it, we can put that to him over email sometime later this week. But thanks again, Kyle. And again, another great IT Basics for Business presentation from our friends at Uprise Partners. And thanks also to the chamber staff for helping to produce another successful event. And thank each of you for attending today and throughout the year. If you're interested in learning more about Gone Phishing, what it is and how to avoid it, be sure to check your email for that follow-up message. And there'll be some additional resources in there as well. Just another shout out to our sponsors, Uprise Partners, for their support and contributions to the IT Basic for Business series this entire year. We look forward to seeing you again on Tuesday, March 26th at 8 a.m. when we hear from Uprise Partners Chief Technology Officer Brian Gagnon on the topic of AI and how to incorporate it into your business. Another important topic that I think people are going to want to tune in for. This will be our third episode of the season's IT Basics for Business. So with that said, thank you all for attending. Stay warm and enjoy the rest of your day.